my girlfriends even want to go out hunting. Like, I took my one friend out one time to shoot her first duck, and I was so excited for her, but she was just like, take me back home. And I'm like, oh my God.
You think that it's a bird, but they're pretty smart. And when they see something they don't like, they're not going to come into it.
That's why my blind bag is huge for the snacks. Like, oh my God, I have to be quiet. You know, I can't like crinkle the bag or anything.
That's a blow right to your face. It's really sad and unfortunate. And gun safety is like my biggest thing. It's like a slice of pizza. You want to stay in your slice of pizza.
Yeah.
Basically. A skinny slice of pizza, not a fat slice of pizza.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Sarah Joy
and Nadra Decker.
And we're here with Wild Initiative Podcast.
Put down your latte and pull on your boots.
You and I and everybody listening to this owns 640 million acres.
I think he killed more deer drinking his coffee, smoking a cigarette in the pickup truck than I did spending all that time freezing my butt off.
Something that I would hope is that people realize that those are wild animals and they have savage natures.
I look forward to packing animals out. I look forward to that pain of success.
Doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter where you live. I've said it before, and you know what? I'll say it again louder for the people in the back. Your present circumstance should not limit your passions.
This is Jay Scott of the Jay Scott Outdoors podcast.
Hey, this is Ryan Callahan.
Hi, this is Jules McQueen.
Hey everybody, Jason Carter here with Epic Outdoors.
Hey guys, this is Tim Burnett with Solo Hunter.
You're listening to The Wild Initiative.
Hey all, welcome to another episode of The Wild Initiative, brought to you as part of the Waypoint Outdoor Collective. Today, I'm sitting down with Sarah Joy and Nadra Decker, and we are probably going to talk a little waterfowling, maybe a little bow fishing. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so excited.
So, and we do have a special guest. Y'all can't see the video here, but we have a little furry, 4-footed guest that's going to be joining us as well. So you may hear from the pup as we're chatting along.
I apologize.
But one thing I'd love for y'all to start out with is just a little bit about yourselves. How did you get introduced to the outdoors, to hunting and fishing and all of that?
So a little bit about me. So I've only been hunting for about 5-6 years now. So when I was little, my uncle, he would take me fishing all the time and really introduced me to the outdoors. And after he had passed away in 2011, I just completely just stopped, going fishing and whatnot. But I've never been introduced to hunting. Like, no one hunts in my family except for my cousin Nick, but I wasn't close with him then. Well, as I got older, I started dating this guy, and when he came home from the Army, he started hunting, and I'm like, oh, I want to try it. And he's like, well, it's going to be really cold and it's hard work, and you actually have to, put out the decoys and, do the work if you want to come out with me. And I said, okay, I'll try it. So went out with him, and I actually had a doctor's appointment that morning. And we weren't getting any ducks. It was like 11 o'clock, and I was like, I'm done, I was getting real mad. And he's like, no, just wait like 30 more minutes. I said, okay. So 2 hen mallards fly in, and he's like, all right, get ready. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, 3, 2, 1. Boom, I got my first duck. I called my eye doctor. I said, I can't come in today. I got to cancel my doctor's appointment. I said, I just got my first duck. And he's like, okay, congrats, So I stayed out there the rest of the day. I was like, I'm hooked. That was it for me. So if he did anything good, my ex, it was introduce me to hunting. So then, but I've been waterfowl hunting for 6 years, and then I just started deer hunting 2 years ago. So I'm pretty new to that. But my cousin had got me into deer hunting, and so I like deer hunting, but waterfowl hunting to me is more exciting. just because you can be out there with your friends and I can have a bunch of food whenever I want and eat, you know. I don't have to be too quiet. So that's pretty much me.
Okay. How about you, Nadra?
So I've been hunting for a little over 12 years now. I pretty much grew up doing it. My great-grandfather got my dad into hunting when he was a child, and my dad's been doing it his entire life, so I've been around it since I was born, and it's definitely in my blood. So around 12 years ago, I finally got my hunting license, and my dad bought me a 20-gauge Remington 870 pump shotgun, and he took me on my first goose hunt for Youth Day, and we had a single come in, and he was like, all right, kiddo, this is all you. Get ready, get ready. I mean, just beautiful, coming right in, backpedaling the decoys, and one shot, boom, folded it, and absolutely was hooked right then and there. And then for Christmas, he ended up actually getting the bird mounted for me, so my first goose is on the wall. And I've been hooked since. I waterfowl hunt. Turkey hunting is hands down my favorite. I'm absolutely eaten up with that. That is come April to May, like, or April, March, April, May. Yeah, April to May.
It's a little rough this year.
I'm a little all over the place. COVID actually really did like justice for me with turkey hunting. I had so much time off. I turkey hunted so much. I did not get a bird, but I came close a couple times, and that's hunting. So, but I really into deer hunting, Sika deer hunting, whitetail. Really big into bowfishing as well. So pretty much just do it all.
Okay. Did you just mention the Sika deer?
Sika deer, yes.
Okay. I was literally, I'm packing, like, hunting season has exploded all over my office right now. I'm packing for my hunts this year, and I just had Meat Eater on loop. And I very literally just yesterday, they watched an episode they did on the Sika deer.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the Sitka deer we have over here, but the ones you all have out there are like the little Japanese deer, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, so Meat Eater just did an episode, they did one a while ago, and I was just watching that. So it's funny you bring that up. It was just an interesting coincidence because I'd never heard of them prior to that.
So we're actually about like 2 hours-ish from Dorchester, Maryland. And basically, from what I got out of it, there was this pretty much like a high fence farm that had them on this like island in Dorchester County, and they got a really cold winter and everything froze over, the swamp froze over, and then they just walked across and kind of populated and did their thing. So they opened, I guess, a season up for them and whatnot, and let people hunt them and everything. And it's not everybody really gets into it. It's hard hunting. It's a lot of marsh and swamp, and it's a lot of work, and it's not everybody even has the opportunity to do it because you have to have property. And there are some like public hunting and whatnot, but again, it's tough work, like, to get out there and be able to target them. So
yeah, it just looked really interesting, and I'd never in my life heard of them before yesterday. So I just found it funny that you brought them up. Yeah. Like I would have guessed, like, after you had said that, I would have guessed you were just talking about Sitka deer and like moved past it if it wasn't for that random episode I'd watched yesterday. But, so as I always say, part of the big reason I started this podcast is because I wanted an excuse to talk to people when I wanted to learn how to do something. Because I didn't grow up with anyone teaching me to hunt either. Yeah. This is all a brand new thing for me. And so this year, my big thing that I really, really want to go do is I want to go waterfowling.
Really? Ooh.
I've never been. I've always thought it sounded like so much fun. And for Sarah, like the reasons you were talking about too, it's such like a, I've been hunting a lot of different types of hunting. Mm-hmm. But even if you go with someone, it's like, you're always being quiet. We're packing in. It's very intense. And like, kind
Serious,
of stressful and serious. And it's always fun, especially when you're out with someone. But just the thing about waterfowl, it's a social thing. You know, you go out and you can have a few beers afterwards. You can, because you'd never have a few beers during. I don't know anyone that's ever done that. That would be completely unsafe. But you can have food, you can hang out with your friends, it's a very social event. And
that's why my blind bag is huge for the snacks. Like like Thanksgiving, like I bring my whole Thanksgiving dinner. Go out there all day. Like, it's bad. That's why I'm like deer hunting. I'm like, oh my God, I have to be quiet. I can't like crinkle the bag or anything. It's so frustrating. And like, I mean, waterfowl hunting, you have to be patient too, but I mean, deer hunting, you really have to be patient. Like if hunting has taught me anything, it's patience. Like it's just, I was never a patient person, and that's one thing it's definitely taught me. But when I started out, so I didn't shoot my first shotgun until I was 19 years old. So, and I shot it in Tennessee, which was awesome, but I was so weak, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't even like hold a 12 gauge gun, I was like, oh man, I really got to bulk up here. So, and then I started shooting clays, and that's when I got into like sporting clay competitions. This was even like before I started hunting, but shooting like skeet and sporting clays, that really helps you practice for waterfowl, because I mean that's how fast ducks are. Like it's insane how fast they fly. 100%. And then I started hunting, so I was already like prepared in that way, But I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to even shoot an animal, because I'm like, I really was like, I have to desensitize myself, completely. But after that first duck, it's like, boom, like full hunting mode, like right after that. That's why my family's like, how can you do that? I was like, well, it's food on the table, it's all organic. And I mean, I barely have to go to the grocery store for any meat. Go in the freezers. Yeah.
It's one of those funny things, because I remember that feeling as well, where you're like, you're kind of coming up to it, you're getting ready for your first hunt or whatever it is, or you're sitting there and you're like, am I really going to be able to do this? Like, yeah, I've read about it, I've studied it, I've practiced for it, but like when I got that thing in my sights, and then I remember the first time I drew on an animal with my bow, I was just like, there was not even a second thought about it. It was like, it was done and over with before I even considered like the whole process and what had happened. And it's a weird feeling, and I'm sure it's different for every single person, but it's a weird experience trying to figure that out.
Yeah. And I haven't shot a deer yet.
The deer is what got me. Yeah. That's what really made me sit there and think. And, I feel like as long as you realize what you're doing it for, and it's not just the trophy aspect of it, that you have respect for the animal, and you know that you're going to be putting food on the table for your family, or donating to feed other people as well. That was my main thing, was deer hunting was what really got me and really questioned it. But like I said, just respect of the animal and know what the reason behind it and whatnot. So,
but I mean, missing a deer sucks, and that's what happened.
That's hurtful.
last year. But injuring one is like even worse, because you're like, oh man, you can't even find the deer. Like, I mean, that just tears your day up. And that's what like anti-hunters don't understand. We think they're,
it's a horrible feeling.
They think we're just like hurting these animals. And it's like, no, we feel awful after that hunt, that type of hunt. And we look for them, but I mean, it happens. But I did a hog hunt in Florida last year. That was a fun hunt. I'd do it again. It was really hot. Like we were on this like big swamp buggy. Like, I mean, it was insane. but it was the first time like shooting a hog with my rifle, so I was super excited. And I mean, I still have meat from it today. Like it's provided a lot for me and my family. But yeah, that you should go on a hog hunt. That was definitely fun if you haven't been yet.
I'm pretty sure he's a hog or a boar on this wall.
Oh, that's my javelina. That's my javelina from Arizona.
Oh. I see. Okay.
But I have been on a hog hunt. My the very first animal I drew on was a hog.
Oh, nice.
And it, it's funny you bring that up. It's because I went through that whole hunt and that was when I was like, crap, am I going to actually be able to do this? And it was helpful that it was a hog, because to some extent you're kind of like, oh, these are some nasty animals. Like, yeah. It's not like this beautiful, majestic animal that's like creeping through the woods. It's like this dirty, stinky, ugly, overpopulated, non-native species that's just grunting and snorting. And you're like, okay, I have no problem with this right now. But even in the face of that, I went through and there's this huge buildup, and I'd missed on the first couple. They're kind of long shots. And then I connected on one, and I was there with my friend Jess, and we were both like celebrating, we're hugging, high-fiving, super, super excited, and never found the hog.
Oh.
It just disappeared off into nowhere. Never know what happened. Both of us saw it. Looked like it was the perfect shot. We even watched, I had a GoPro on it, and it looked perfect. And, after all I said about hogs, how nasty they are, whatever, it's just a hog. I was devastated. I felt so awful for, and I mean, we looked for that thing for hours, couldn't find it, not even any sign of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, even any animal that you wound like that is devastating. It's a horrible feeling, regardless of, whether it's like some beautiful, majestic animal out in the woods or some scroungy ass little thing, running around a corn feeder.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens with waterfowl hunting. Like, you'll lose birds in the reeds. I mean, they'll go back. Yeah.
They'll just go and go. They won't come back up.
And you search for hours and hours. It's like, it's the most frustrating feeling ever. But I mean, that's waterfowl hunting for you too. Or you got to chase them.
So speaking of waterfowl hunting, like, this is, like I said, this is my year. I'm bound and determined to do this. I've got to figure out when the seasons are, but I've got a few different buddies that I'm pretty sure I've got invites to come out with them. I just got to make sure I'm not lazy and make the time to do it.
Yeah.
But so for someone just starting out, I've got my shotgun. The shotgun I bought is actually a waterfowl gun. It's judging from the camo pattern on it. It's got like the reed, the whatever.
The Shadowgrass blade.
Is it the Realtree Max or whatever? Is that the
Max 5?
Max 5, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those styles of patterns on the shotgun, and I'm pretty sure this was used for hunting duck.
Yeah. What's the brand?
It's a Mossberg 835. I want to say 835. I always get that wrong.
Yeah.
It's a Mossberg.
That's probably correct. Yeah. I'm just not familiar with Mossbergs.
I think I'd have to look at it. Now I'm doubting myself about the camo pattern, but I've got like 90 pictures of it somewhere.
It's either that or a Shadowgrass blade.
I know a lot of my buddies at waterfowl hunt do shoot Mossbergs, so yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Pretty much any shotgun.
Well, I was going to say, so somebody buying their, they want to go waterfowl hunting. What kind of shotgun are they looking for? Like, not necessarily a brand, but what are they looking for in a shotgun generally?
So I mean, I use automatic guns.
I would suggest a 12 gauge.
Yeah, 12 gauge semi-automatic. Because they're coming fast. There's ducks.
Yeah, you want to get as many shots off in the time that you can.
Yeah. So I would not suggest like a pump gun.
No.
But yeah, I mean, like, some of my friends, they use 20 gauge. I mean, 12 or 20. But I mean, I use 12. I don't have a 20. But
so I started out with a 20 and absolutely loved it for everything that I was doing. But the older I got and the harsher the seasons have been, ducks aren't coming into the spread like they used to. They're not coming pretty far shots. So shooting a 20 gauge, I could barely reach out far enough to even have the opportunity to shoot at them, or have an opportunity to kill one. So I upgraded finally to a big girl gun and got a 12 gauge a couple of years back, and I haven't had any issues since. I've been hit them all day long.
And also make sure it's not like too heavy for you. So like the barrel length, like I have a 26-inch on both my guns, because the 28s are just a little too heavy for me. Just when I'm, I had to pick up my gun real quick and shoot. So it's not like, I don't have to, it's not too heavy lifting up, real fast. So.
Well, and I imagine you're swinging that thing too, trying to lead those birds. So you need to be able to move that pretty quick.
Yeah. I would definitely, if you have someone who has like a lot of guns and is willing to go to like a shooting range with you before the hunt, I would suggest shooting skeet or sporting clays right before you hunt. So you're familiar with the gun and you're comfortable with it, and it's not too heavy, and you're good to go.
You know what to expect.
Yeah.
I'm out in California, and we actually have some incredible waterfowl hunting out here in California.
Yeah.
And I've yet to take advantage of it. I've been told from people that supposedly know these things, I've been told it's actually some of the best in the nation when it's a good year.
Oh, wow.
But we can no longer use lead shot in any of our shotguns this year. And I recently was at SHOT Show, and I came across a company that they make tungsten shot.
Oh yeah.
And it's super heavyweight shot. And have you guys tried that out yet?
No. No, but I've heard of it.
I'm just curious. I don't know anybody that's used it, and I'm really, really curious about it, just because I'd also like to use it for because I use a shotgun for coyotes as well. And so I'd like to use it for coyotes. I'm just curious if haven't found anyone that's used it yet. So I haven't gotten any good feedback on it, but so what is, dear Lord, going through puberty right there. What is some of the stuff? For heavens. Welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Reset again. So what is some of the other critical gear maybe that, say somebody wants to get into waterfowl hunting? What's kind of the base level, like this is the stuff you have to have to start waterfowling?
Ooh. Waders. They need to be breathable, because you don't want anything that's not breathable. I'll see
nice warm jackets, gloves, hand warmers.
Yeah.
A Yeti mug with hot chocolate or coffee. Lots of snacks.
Yeah.
Make sure you have plenty of boxes of shells. You think you have enough boxes, pack an extra one, because there are days that you will just blow through a box. Definitely rain gear, because you never know what you're going to get. Beanies, hats, your calls,
extra.
So, I mean, this is like cold weather.
An extra pair of clothes.
Yeah.
Because when you get back to the truck, if you're putting out decoys and you fall in or you get some water in your waders, you're going to want to change and get warm.
Yeah. I pretty much do all day hunts too. So, yeah, I'm there. I'm there sunrise to sunset. I love it.
So just pack extra for everything.
But I mean, I stay out all day in like -10 degree weather. I don't care if it's snowing or what. I bring everything with me, like my whole house. Just bring it all.
That's why she was
Yeah.
But so, talking about like, I guess the waders, and somebody's looking for a pair of waders. I'm probably not I could probably get away with them, but I'm not going to use my nice light warm weather fly fishing waders necessarily for going duck hunting in November. It's probably going to want something a little bit warmer, a little more insulated.
Right. And make sure they go like all the way up.
You want chest waders. Yeah. Definitely chest waders.
Okay.
My suggestion would be, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Bandit and Avery Outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad his name is Wayne Radcliffe. and he is the East Coast territory manager for Banded. So he goes and sells all their products to all these little dealers and big dealers all on the East Coast. And I've been very lucky to, bit of a hookup on some of their products and their waders. And they actually make all kinds of different waders, but even women's waders and children's waders, which is really nice. So I've gone through like 2 pairs now. My first pair was like a children's size, and they lasted me a good like 4 winters. I actually Sika deer hunted in them as well, so like that was really nice. But I finally got a pair of the women's waders, and they're insulated, so they're super warm. They just act just like bibs. They're super comfortable. They're not like the neoprene. They're literally like bibs. So they're comfortable. You can, squat and sit and not like hurt your knees, like pulling your knees any. I get a couple jackets, hoodies and jackets, and I put them on the inside and wear them on the out, like put my waders on the outside, basically. Completely waterproof, warm. I literally can't stress enough how great these waders are.
So funny thing is, I'm sponsored by Drake Waterfowl. So we're rivals.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and another funny thing is, I just met Nadra not even a month ago. And we're literally like best friends now. So we didn't realize we lived like so close to one another.
I thought she lived in a different state.
Yeah.
Or we would have been friends way sooner.
Yeah. And I don't have none of my girlfriends hunt or anything, or even want to go out hunting. Like I took my one friend out one time to shoot her first duck, and she got it, and I was so excited for her, but she was just like, take me back home. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, I was like, this is not happening again. But I was so excited for her. So to have, to find a friend here that, shares the same passions as I do, like that's really like rare. And, I'm grateful for that. So, but even though we're, rivals and she can't wear Drake and I can't wear Banded, but it's okay. We still get
shoving each other out of the picture for Instagram.
Yeah. Pretty much. But no, so I just started like bow fishing with her. So, and I'm always up for like to do something new. Like I love new challenges, and bow fishing has definitely been a challenge for me. I mean, it's hard. Like when you're first starting out, it's really hard, but I love it. So I'm glad she got me into that now.
I went bow fishing for the first time. Gosh, I want to say, it has to have been 3 years ago at this point. I made a couple of good buddies on that trip, and then the other guys, we won't speak of them ever again. But it's literally like, it's literally, I went bow fishing with some of the best and worst people I know, literally as far on the opposite ends of the spectrum as it could possibly be. Albeit we did put out a really good podcast on that trip, but I digress. But yeah, I went bow fishing for the first time, and honestly, that is probably one of my all-time favorite things. I've only ever done it once, and I think I only got 2 teeny little fish, and then I helped. We did get one of the guys did manage this monster alligator gar, and I ended up having to put a second arrow in him to help like drag it in because the one line was about to snap, and so I helped him pull it in.
Enough.
Yeah, and that thing was huge.
State?
That was down in Louisiana. We were
awesome.
We were down in like deep South Louisiana. We were hanging out with a dude named Hound Dog that only had a few teeth.
Oh no!
It was that awesome of a trip. Let's just say that. Good old Hound Dog. I love it. It's like, I don't know. It's like a party. Like that's the best way I can describe it. It's like a hunting party the whole time. Like, you're you're out on the water, you know, everything's all lit up. It's like the middle of the night. It feels like almost like a rave or something on the water. It's
exciting.
And, you know, everyone's like hooting and hollering, and, you know, you got beers on the boat, and I don't know. It's just a good time. I need to get back out, because the kind of bow fishing we do out here is like you sit on the shore, you sit on the end of a pier, and you just like shoot at carp.
Yes.
And it's not that super exciting. It's not like the on the boat experience. So I gotta work on that. But
well, if you ever want to come out to Maryland, we'll hook you up.
See, you know, I have a tendency to just get in the car and drive ridiculous distances for things. So that I will most likely. I mean, short of. I really don't think there's many places. Maybe short of the other end of Florida, there's not many places that could actually be farther for me to come visit.
I know. Oh.
But yeah, that's not going to stop me. I'm going to come bow fishing, come maybe shoot some ducks with y'all.
Sweet. Yeah.
So back to waterfowl hunting.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of setup? You know, we've talked a lot about decoys. We've talked about, Sarah, how you have to carry 2 decoy bags, one for your snacks, one for your actual decoys.
Yeah.
Trust me, I feel you on that, because like I went hunting in Arizona with these guys, and like I was under the impression we were going to come back for lunch, and that's how they made it sound.
No,
we were out all damn day. I had 2 damn protein bars, and that was it. And I get angry. When I don't have snacks, I get angry. So I feel you on that. I'm just going to throw that out there, but I'm not a pleasant person to hunt with when I don't have food. But
same.
So, talking about what kind of areas do you look for when you're hunting waterfowl?
Marsh. So I hunt on a river. So I don't have a boat. I have a kayak. So I have to kayak to the spot and hook my decoys up, you know, on the back. Yeah, on the sled. Like, I mean, it's hard work, because, you know, just getting everything in the kayak and then in the sled, you know, hooked up. So you have to have your mud seat, your decoys, your blind bag, your gun. Yeah, and so I have like a headlight on the whole time. And you got fish, you know, flying at you. So, but yeah. So then you gotta like put it in the reeds, make sure that's all hidden, and, you know, get your mud seat out and just sit in the mud basically. And then I also hunt like a field and a pit. So if you're going to be in a pit, again, bring everything with you.
That's a little bit more laid back.
Yeah, I like the pit. Yeah.
Put out your decoys, throw everything in the pit, drive back, and just walk back out.
And then you also have a layout blind. If you're in a field and don't have a pit, I personally do not like a layout blind because I fall asleep.
Okay. I fall asleep anywhere, though. They're just really comfortable, and I thought it was like a really neat experience, like being so like ninja-y. Like,
yeah. Have you had luck in a lookout blind? I haven't had any luck like
one time. I shot the shit out of geese. It was really neat. But
I remember,
for the most part,
I was gonna say, like, seeing the layout blinds, it always reminds me of when I was a little kid on the beach, and we'd always do this thing where we'd bury ourselves halfway in sand, and you'd put your arms up above your head, and somebody would throw a towel over you, and then they'd sprinkle chips on top of you, and we had squirrels at our beach too, and so the squirrels and the seagulls would come walk around, and when you'd feel someone walking on top of you, you jump up and you wrap them up with a towel. That's always, whenever I see the layout blinds, like people popping up out of them, that's immediately what I think of. Yeah. And then, of course, we were in elementary school, so we'd go chase all the girls with the seagull we had wrapped up in a towel. And
it's so funny. See, I just don't think I can pop out enough, you know, like in time. Yeah, I'm not fast. Like, and like falling asleep, I'm like, oh, I'm all comfy, you know.
I feel like it's more of an adrenaline rush for me because it's like, oh my gosh, am I going to get out on time? Am I going to sneak them? Am I going to come up too fast? Like, am I going to come up too slow? Like, where are they going to go? Like, am I even going to have them in my zone? Like, it's just so many things just floating around. You're stressing out about.
Sea duck hunting. So I personally haven't been sea duck hunting, but I heard it's a little bit harder just because the boat's rocking, you know. But have you been sea duck hunting?
I've been sea duck hunting a lot. So my dad pretty much has like a boat, a john boat, a big boat. We take a layout boat out to like the sea duck zones, and pretty much you put the layout boat in the water, you put a bunch of long lines out, and then you literally just sit in the layout line or the layout boat with like another person, and they like you don't have to call nothing. These birds, I hate to say it, but they're not the brightest, and they literally just come right into the decoys, and I mean it is a blast. I absolutely love sea duck hunting. I know a lot of people don't have the layout boats, so they do hunt out of their boats. There are like specific duck boats that are made for that, like with seating, and they're like gray, and I don't know what they're called. I've never been in one or anything like that, but they look pretty comfortable and neat and whatnot. It's pretty much a duck blind, but a boat.
Okay.
So that's kind of a cool hookup.
So are those the general kinds of, that's generally what you could expect. If you're going waterfowl hunting, it's generally going to be one of these things. You're either getting into the marshlands and you're sitting in a mud seat. Yeah. You're in a pit blind. You're in.
Body bootin'.
Yes, good call. I've been body
bootin's fun
twice. Do you know what that? Do you know what
this
that
sounds
is?
like something that you do after 2 minutes. This sounds like something. Hey man, you ever gone body booting? Like this sounds like something you do after too many shots. I don't know.
No, it's really neat. Pretty much, you take the boat out to these flats and you put a bunch of decoys out, and then they actually make these like silhouettes on poles, and you stick them right in front of you, but they're giant silhouettes, so they cover you. So you're standing in the water waist deep with these things covering you, and it has a little box, so you put and a little mount to hold your gun. You put your box of shells and whatever else you want, and you literally just hide, and like they rotate, so you can literally just, like if the ducks are going behind you, you steady or moving with the silhouette to hide yourself. And then as soon as you get a shot, they come in the decoys, boom. But only problem with that is tides. And wind picks up, it gets a little choppy, and it'll get in your waders. So it can be a little cold.
I just think you need to come to Maryland and experience every waterfowl hunt.
This sounds like a pretty damn good time to me. I gotta say. So body booting. So like you say it, you describe it, and then I say body booting, and somehow the name makes sense, and I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of like, it's effectively almost like a hunting decoy, like one of those fold out flat hunting decoys. Like,
so a silhouette, like mostly silhouettes are just like plywood, and they literally cut the shape of a duck or a goose or a swan.
Okay.
And then you just paint it the same colors that whatever animal you want to use, and then you stick a pole to it and shove it in the ground, and pretty much just hides you.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, it's generally the same idea. It's like it's just a flat. Yeah. It's just like a flat kind of representation of the animal that you're hiding.
Yes,
hiding
instead
behind.
of like a full body.
Yeah.
Or yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what kind of waterfowl hunt you're doing yet?
I have no clue.
Like if it's like on a boat, you have no clue.
I was going to ask that because I've heard that you got teal out there, and that is a bucket list duck for me.
That's I have been told. I've been told that actually by a couple of people. I have a buddy who lives in Salt Lake now. He's from Pennsylvania originally, and he is a huge waterfowler. He absolutely is addicted to it. He's been doing it his whole life. And that's I think he told me the same thing. He's like, man, I need to get out to California for some teal one of these days. If you're ever hunting out there, you got to let me know, and I'll come out. And but I think this one, I think I'm going to be going to Texas, Because funny enough, like I've got a few friends here that'll like take me on hunts and stuff, no problem, like for hog or this or that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the people they're like, yeah, come out, are all like on the other side of the United States.
Yeah.
My God. That's the thing about running the podcast. I mean, I'll be honest. That's half of the reason I started running the podcast, was to meet cool people, because I didn't know anybody that would take me out hunting. So shoot, let's start calling people up. But my buddy out in Texas, and I think his is I don't know if it's a pit blind or what it is, but it's like a field kind of layout or setup.
Yeah.
But,
that or like an A-frame. I like A-frame blinds too.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
Yeah.
Is that just kind of like an above ground blind you're shooting out of? Okay.
Have you hunted out of a pit or layout blinds or anything?
Never. I mean,
waterfowl.
I have not waterfowl hunted at all. I have ducks on my back wall that a buddy gave me that I got taxidermied because I thought they were cool. I bought a freezer off of my buddy, like a big chest freezer, and he's like, gosh, they were moving and they didn't want to. And he's like, I don't want to clean this thing out. You can just keep whatever's in there. And I thought he was talking like frozen pizzas. I get home and there's like 14 different ducks and geese in there.
There you go.
And there's some good stuff too. But then some of it got pretty badly freezer burned. They were pretty old, and the taxidermist just couldn't do much with them. There's a Canadian goose with a fully white belly that just looked really, really cool that I was super bummed I didn't get to keep. But anyway, but yeah, so far I just display waterfowl that I haven't shot myself.
Secret safe. Yes, we won't tell.
Yeah, between me, you, and the 1,000 or so people that listen to this episode. Dear Lord, all the secrets are coming out today. But no, I'm very excited to get out. So I am curious about the decoys, because we haven't really talked too much about the decoys. And with these different setups, I'm sure there's a ton of different decoy setups as well, right? Correct, like ways to set them up, different types of decoys, and so. And I know that could be something that's kind of intimidating for someone that's just getting their start, like. Unless you got some buddies that you can just go out with that are already set up.
Or like definitely know what they're doing, like how to set them up, because you can't just throw them all out there. You're supposed to, there's different techniques to use and different ways. And I was always told that, like, you set them all up, but you always want to leave like a circle, like a hole, so that way that when the birds are coming in, they see a landing spot. Yeah. So like, you're preparing for them to land there, so they're in your face, so you can shoot them.
So how does this setups differ from, like, say, you're setting up on water in marshland to in a field, like when you arrange them? Obviously, with floating decoys, you anchor them and you can put them in groups and somewhat, but they're going to be moving around a little bit.
So when I hunt out of a pit, it's usually for geese, not ducks. Unless the duck decides to fly by randomly. But, it has happened. So what I do is like an X, and then so it's like a group in each corner, and then they land right, in the center. So that's how I set up. Unless you set it up. How do you set it up?
Pretty much with the circle. I kind of fall back and let the big guys kind of do what they want, the experts, but I just, for the most part, just like throw them out, and if they want to adjust, they can adjust, because I'm not going to sit there and like, hey Dad, where do you want this one? Hey Dad, can I put this one right here? So usually I'm the main help with picking them up, because you can't mess that up. So, but like when you're goose hunting, for the most part, you're just going to have a goose spread. So you can use full body, silhouettes, if you're on the water, the floaters, and there's just all kinds of different like types, like feeders and, lookers, and they come like fully flocked, and just so many different things. And then like, if you're field hunting, you do have the opportunity to shoot a couple ducks. So like you could add like a couple mallard decoys on the very end of the spread, just in case, And then, you know, with duck hunting, we usually use, I mean, there's a lot of singles that you'll just throw out, but we do a lot of long lines. It's just a lot easier, looks good. They kind of like, it's like one long line, and then they have like a 1 to 2 foot like leader hanging off of them, so that, you know, they can move and they just look natural floating and going whatever which way, and it just looks it's pretty cool.
So when you say a long line, you mentioned long lines. That's basically just a long line of attached decoys.
It's like an anchor, then it's a 50-foot line, and then you literally like every 3 feet, 2 feet, you clip a leader with a decoy on, and then you go like a couple feet up and you do the same and the same and the same. So your anchor, you have like plenty of anchor out. You have a really long piece. It's like, you know, let's say you got 5 foot of water, you got like 8 foot. So it's not dragging the decoys down, but pretty much I think you put like 5 to 10 maybe lines out, and then you can just put a bunch of singles around it. And then like what I was going to say was, like if you're diver hunting, you know, like you want to have specific diver ducks. You can't put puddle ducks in a diver duck spread, because, you know, nothing's going to come into it. Like there's just different things that like you can and can't do, or, you know, it just doesn't look right to those birds. And like you think that it's a bird, but they're pretty smart. And when they see something they don't like, they're not going to come into it.
It weirdly almost reminds me of fly fishing.
Right?
And
yeah.
Like you pick a fly and you can pick 10 different flies that at a quick glance, they all look similar enough. But the fish, like if the fish aren't biting on that yellow pattern, but they're biting on the green pattern all day long, or, you know, they'll be very specific. And if it just doesn't look quite right, if it's not the right thing for that, I don't know, for some reason, that's just, as you were saying that's really what came to mind to me.
No, it makes sense. I'm not familiar. I've never actually fly fished. I've seen people do it and, you know, talk to them about it and stuff, but I could totally see that being an issue.
But when I go out on the water, so the decoys I have, like, you just wrap the weight around them, and when you go out, you just unhook it, put the weight all the way at the end of the string, throw them out. That's all I do. So it's simple, and then you just go back out and get them.
So they're just kind of like single decoys.
Yep.
Have you hunted over lines?
I did last year. Yeah, last year. Yep.
I saw this weird thing at one of the ISE shows. It was like it's some product where, I don't know, it was like all these interconnected arms and that would go below the water, and you could like pull a string and it would make like your entire spread of ducks look like it was like swimming in this. It was the trippiest thing.
I've seen that. I've seen it. It looks rad.
Yeah.
I've never seen one in person, never used one in person, but I've seen lots of videos, and we have a big show out here, the Pennsylvania Hunting Expo. It's like the largest in the United States, I believe, and they're there every year, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sat and talked with the guy for like an hour because I was sick of walking around the show. And I'm like, I know nothing about duck hunting, but I'll talk to you about this thing. Oh, man. I just remember it looked really cool. But so say, somebody's getting into hunting, wants to get into waterfowl hunting. They want to start building their kit. What, obviously they probably need to figure out what kind of ducks or geese or whatever they're going to be hunting. That's going to be critical. But how much should they expect to be investing in decoys initially?
A lot. It is a very expensive hobby. Yep. Everything involving hunting is expensive. Yeah. All of it, including the decoys. Yeah. So with my the company my dad works for, so it's Bandit, Avery, and GHG, which is Greenhead Gear Decoys. So they are the best of the best. They are the most realistic looking. They are beautiful. They float. I mean, you can pretty much, there's a couple ones that like somebody shoots a little low and they'll sink a decoy, but
they'll know you decoy. Do not shoot a decoy.
Yeah, for the most part, they are very, very like reliable, and I mean, you can use them for years and years and years, and they're, what is the word I'm looking for? Like they last long.
Durable?
Durable? Sure, let's use that.
That's a good
So, sorry.
Oh man. So is there anything else, you know, somebody's wanting to get into waterfowling, say, okay, I'm going with some buddies. I don't need to buy all the decoys. They got all that stuff set up. I know I need to pick up my shells. I got to pick up my waders, got to get some warm clothes, some snacks, and got all of that stuff. What do I need to know just to make sure I don't look like a total idiot going out with my buddies for the first time? Like what can I expect going out? Say we'll just go with a pit line, for example. I'm going out with my buddies. We're all in a pit line. I don't want to look like a total amateur in front of them. What can I expect going in there?
Hunting out of a pit, my most important thing is gun safety. I've heard a lot of horror stories that people are like hanging over and the gun's right in their face and they come up and their trigger gets stuck on like a branch or something and they shoot themselves. And they're not making that. That's a blow right to your face. It's really sad and unfortunate. And gun safety is like my biggest thing. You want to make sure your gun's always leaning forward. You want to make sure it's always on safety. And I'm sorry, my dog is trying to roll. Always on safety. I always, when like birds are coming, Dad says get ready, I always like lean up and I put my gun barrel out of the top of the pit. And I still stay hidden, but I make sure it's nowhere near my face and it's out and away and in a good zone. And like that's the other thing. If birds are to your way right, and that's not your zone, do not shoot. Do not shoot over anybody. You will ring their ears. You will piss them off. It's just unsportsmanlike. Don't, you got a zone, you stay in it.
So talk about the zone. Talk about zones for a second. For, you know, someone, I could generally assume what that means, but how does that get decided? What's the deal with the zones?
Basically, like the way I think of it is like, let's say there's 5 guys in a pit. You know, this guy had, like, the geese are way out to the left. Like, that guy on the end left, he has the opportunity to shoot. No one else is going to shoot. Right. Because you're going to shoot over him and next, way too close to him. You're going to ring his ears. I know it's exciting and you really want to get a bird, but just, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So you really want him to be out in front of you or a little to the left, a little to the right, but you do never, ever want to cross. It's just like a pizza. It's like a slice of pizza. You want to stay in your slice of pizza. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically. A skinny slice of pizza, not a fat slice of pizza. Yeah.
So y'all are basically lined up and you each kind of get a little cone of,
just that.
Cone of fire, if you will. Okay.
Cone. There you go, ice cream cone.
Yeah. I basically, like, when I'm like in the zone, like I really listen to like whoever's calling. I really watch them because I feel like they're always the ones to see the birds.
They're
first.
watching the birds. You want to look right into that guy's eyes and just watch where his eyes are going, so you know kind of where to get going. And then there's always you want to make sure that there's one person calling the shot. You cannot have 2 to 3 people calling the shot. It just doesn't work like that. So it's nice to like get that out on the table too. As soon as you get in a blind, like, all right, who's calling the shot? I want to listen to one person type of thing and go from there.
Gotcha. So usually, so do you usually have like one dedicated caller in the blind as well?
For the most part,
we haven't even really touched on that.
For the most part, I've been on multiple hunts where, people will chime in, but everybody sounds different. Yeah. It doesn't hurt, but when we've had some callers that it's like, can you not? Like, you're going to scare the birds away. Yeah.
I'm still practicing. It's hard. Like, I mean, duck calling is I'm getting there, but like goose calling, oh my God, it's hard.
Really? I can actually blow a goose call pretty good. I cannot get a duck call to sound like a normal duck at all. I sound like just like one of them little duck lips quacker things. Yeah, that's me. I don't think I have enough force behind it.
I've actually got a set of pretty nice duck calls that were gifted to me from
Really?
Yeah, it's my buddy in Texas, the one that invited me out hunting.
Okay.
I went out. I was on a road trip, and we ended up just having some drinks at his place, and the beers turned into whiskey and cigars. And it turned into an evening neither of us remember so well. But I pass out on his couch, and I wake up to like a gift bag from him, and it's got some elk stuff in it, but then it's got we had been talking about waterfowl hunting and how I wanted to go, and so he dropped in a finisher, a couple of elk calls for me.
Oh, cool!
Actually,
awesome.
I have a wooden duck phone up here that he also gave me. That is.
Oh. Okay, I've been looking for one of those for months, and I found one on eBay. They're like $140, and I don't want to spend the money, but I'm about to. Like, actually, that's a nice gift.
Yeah,
somebody buy me that.
So he's a podcaster as well, and it has been sitting in his office since he started his podcast, and so that's why he gifted it to me.
Oh,
I also randomly have I think it was my great grandfather's original duck decoy. Floater decoy mallard.
Is it wooden?
Yeah, it's a wooden.
That's cool.
It's all faded and painted.
Awesome.
But yeah, so I've got for a dude that's never duck hunted, I've got ducks on the wall. I've got decoys, calls. I've got wooden ducks over here. I got this crap everywhere. I need to get my ass out. Is what needs to happen.
Have you ever carved a decoy?
I have not. I'm so far in my life, I've been too impatient. I get something going whenever since I've been a kid. I go to carve something, then I get really impatient and I just start taking big old chunks out, and it looks like it was done by Picasso by the time I'm done. So,
yeah, I had the chance to go to North Carolina to it's called Soundcore Decoy Carvers Guild in Harker. I think it's called Harker's Island, North Carolina. It was like 4 years ago, and it was for girls only. So I got to meet like a ton of, different, hunters, and which was awesome. And we got to carve, they're called redhead ducks. And so it was really hard because I have carpal tunnel. So it hurt really bad. But I mean, it just made me appreciate, like all the decoy carvers, like back in the day, that's all they had, know, and mine can float too, but I mean, I have it in a case and everything, but yeah, that's the one thing about Maryland. So Havre de Grace is a huge, hunting area. So this guy, Harry Jobs, he was a decoy carver, and he's just, once you say the name Harry Jobs, everyone in Maryland knows who you're talking about because he's just that famous. And I believe his son still works. They have a museum that you can go see all the decoys that he carved and everything. And just the background of it is really cool and interesting to learn about.
It's a very neat historical little town.
See, I love stuff like that. I really... I one of the big things I nerd out on, it's like when I picked up archery, I started building my own arrows. And when I love reloading ammo and like just learning all of the history and all of the little bits and pieces and the little things like, if I can learn to make something that I'll use in the field, like my next big thing is I'm going to work with a friend. I'm going to forge my own hunting knife, and I'm super excited about that. So like learning about the history of like hand carved decoys and just that general history of the outdoors and hunting is, I love hearing that stuff. And it's just so fascinating to me.
Yeah. And it makes you appreciate like what we have today. Like we're spoiled.
Yeah. A long way.
Yeah.
A long way.
Well, as we're kind of winding down here, one thing I always like to kind of finish up with, say y'all run into someone, you're in your waders, you're picking up snacks for your hunt, whatever it happens to be. And they're like, "Oh man, y'all going hunting? I've really wanted to do that. I've always wanted to go hunting. But I don't know. There's a lot to learn. It's really intimidating. I don't think I could do it."
Yeah.
Somebody came up to you and said that. What words of encouragement would you give them? What would you say to that person?
do it. Don't be scared. I mean, if they are timid, I would tell them, or come with me one day, let me show you how it all works. And if you don't like it, okay, you did it, and if you do like it, then great, keep up with it. And I mean, it's just a great way to just learn and appreciate nature. And I think that's what we lack in today's society is the, appreciation of nature and God's country, basically. But what would you say?
I would say that you have to start somewhere. We've all been in a position. We didn't come out of the wound hunting, so definitely just do it and get out there. It's great because, you get to spend that quality time with your friends and family. You meet new people, you build relationships. There's a lot to learn. And again, the appreciation of nature, and it's a whole nother world. Yeah. And it's literally like my life, my passion, like my happy place is the woods or in the stream or just on the boat, just out one with nature.
It gets you away from reality. Like it's peace. That's my peaceful place.
Pure peace.
And just like Nadra was saying, I probably wouldn't have known her if it wasn't for hunting and, and a lot of other people I wouldn't have known, it's awesome.
No, I agree completely. Though I do disagree with the fact that it gets you away from reality, because I'm pretty sure that is reality, and everything else we do outside of that is what's taking us away from reality. But
True. Yeah.
All right. So if folks wanted to follow along with all the adventures, where can they find you guys online?
They can find me on Instagram at Sarah J. Waterfowler.
And they can find me on Instagram at NadraMay015.
All right. Well, I will make sure to link to both y'all's profiles on the show notes page. That's going to be thewildinitiative.com/163. Thank you guys so much for sitting down and joining me. I had a really good time just talking a little bit about waterfowling.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
All right, y'all, that'll do it for this episode of The Wild Initiative. Make sure to check out the show notes page at thewildinitiative.com/163. Get links to everything we talked about in today's episode. That'll do it for this week. Looking forward to next time. But until then, I hope this episode inspired you to get involved, get outdoors, and plan your initiative for the wild.
Thank you for listening to The Wild Initiative. Please take a moment to leave a rating and review on iTunes or Stitcher, and head on over to thewildinitiative.com to get show notes, check out the blog, gear discounts, other podcasts from the Wild Initiative family, and more.